Crowd rolling in on a beautiful weather night. It's going to be chilly tonight, however. Temperatures expected to drop down into the 30s. And welcome to the opening week of Major League Baseball, presented by Burger King. Round 2 of this 3-game series between the Cardinals and the Cincinnati Reds. And hi again, everybody, alongside Chris Welsh. I'm Tom Brenneman. Welcome, as always, to Reds baseball. And here we are a week after the announcement about Joey Votto. And today the news comes down the pike. The Reds have locked up Brandon Phillips, 6 years on his deal. It's amazing what's happening in Reds country.
It really is. It's a commitment to these guys who are cornerstone-type players, maybe once-in-a-generation type player. To keep them in a Reds uniform reminds me, Tom, back in the old days in the 70s when you could recite the lineup of the Big Red Machine. Well, that's what the Castellini family and the rest of the ownership wants to do here. They want fans around Redsland to be able to say, hey, Jay Bruce, Joey Votto, Brandon Phillips, they're going to be in a Reds uniform for a long, long time. And for a guy that puts up the kind of numbers that Brandon does, he joins some very elite company. David Wright, Hanley Ramirez, Kemp Kinsler, and all these guys have put up home run numbers, stolen bases numbers, but I don't think anybody on that list plays the kind of defense that Brandon Phillips does.
And Brandon Phillips is thrilled to be staying right here in Cincinnati.
I talked to my mom. We talked about it all last night, and I was just like, Mom, you know, what should I do? I mean, the fans love me here. You know what I'm saying? I love it here. I mean, this is where I want to be. And she like, just go where your heart is. And, you know, and they see, you know, they made it happen. And it was the best day of my life, man. And I mean, you know, I felt like this is home, and, you know, and I'm going to try my best to go out there and work hard and try to bring a championship to the Queen City.
Well, that's the idea, try to bring that elusive World Series title to Cincinnati, and you had the feeling all along, Chris, this guy, he meant what he said. He wanted to be right here.
Well, he did want to be right here, but before you give the kind of money and the kind of years of that money to a player, you want to make sure that that player is a guy that wants to be the best in the league every day. Brandon Phillips plays every day. Ironically, for a guy that plays nearly every day, he's not in the lineup tonight. Tweaked his hamstring, he'll take a rest tonight, but here's a guy that you can depend on, just like the sunrise coming up every morning. Brandon Phillips playing hard, getting some ground balls, and leading this ball club.
All right, when we come back, we'll talk about the pitchers tonight. Mike Leake making his first start of his 2012 year, coming off a rock-solid 2011. Kyle Loesch makes his second start of the year for the Redbirds.
This copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the Cincinnati Reds. It may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Cincinnati Reds.
A young lady may need that blanket tonight as we move into baseball. About 5 minutes away, our weather report is brought to you by Thompson Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Drain Cleaning. Here's Tim Hedrick.
Cozart is hitting the ball. Bruce is hitting the long ball, but team hitting in general, suffering just a bit. Going to be cool tonight, by the way, 48 down to 38. Team hitting is like eating donuts. Once you eat one, you just want to keep hitting. Right up the middle. Eat some donuts.
Reds need to get it going against this guy. Pitched brilliantly the opening game of the season for St. Louis. A one-time Red, Kyle Loesch.
Well, you know, Kyle Loesch went through the spring training with the Cardinals, gave up a lot of home runs, and he is susceptible to the long ball. But look at the numbers on him there. 7+ innings, 2 hits, 1 run overall. He was able to throw the ball exactly where he wanted to. His big pitch is a changeup for Kyle Loesch. All the Reds hitters ought to be aware of that. Mike Leake, 14-7 in his 28 starts at Great American Ballpark. This guy is the ultimate under-the-radar pitcher. Throughout spring training, everybody wanted to talk about Cueto, Latos, Arroyo, everybody but Mike Leake. Here's a guy that just goes out, gives the Reds a great effort, and gets the job done. It may not always be the prettiest game, but he'll get it done in a hurry. He comes right after those hitters, does Mike Leake.
Alrighty, Cardinals and the Reds set to tee 'em up in Cincinnati. First pitch right around the corner on Fox Sports Ohio. Well, we're underway at Great American Ballpark. Digging in is John Jay, getting the leadoff spot tonight. A night off for Rafael for a call. First pitch after the 1-0 count is on the ground to the second baseman tonight, Willie Harris, and Jay retired, 1 out. Mike Matheny, the youngest manager in Major League Baseball, 41 years of age, a native of Reynoldsburg, Ohio, just outside Columbus. What a start his team is off to. Well, the opener in Miami took 2 of 3 over the weekend in Milwaukee, and then the opener of this series, 7-1 winners last night. Ball 1 to Carlos Beltran, the starter out in right field. 7 for his first 22 with a couple of home runs. And it's on the outside corner, a strike. 1-1 to Beltran. And that ball is clobbered into deep right center field, and the Cardinals have jumped in front 1-0. St. Louis hit 3 home runs in the game last night, and all 3 came in the very first inning. And another first inning home run in game 2.
Well, Carlos Beltran was one of those that was not in the home run derby last night. He makes good advantage of it tonight. Picks on an off-speed pitch, trying to throw that changeup down and away. And man, it hangs up right about thigh high, outer third. Great hitting for Carlos Beltran. Of course, he's hit a bunch of those, and it's all about location when you pitch to a guy like that.
Now Matt Holliday. Holliday started the 3 home run first inning barrage last night with 2 outs and nobody on. He hit one to left center field. One of his 2 hits and 5 at bats in the game. In the air, foul ground over near the Reds dugout, and into the first row and out of play. Well, you know the story on Mike Leake, drafted by the Reds with their first pick, the 8th overall out of Arizona State University in June of 2009, and of course was on the team's opening day roster in 2010. There's a liner into center field, a base hit. Cardinals lineup looks this way. You've seen Jay, Beltran, and Holliday. Here comes Lance Berkman to be followed by David Freese at third and Yadier Molina catching. The latter third of Daniel Descalso, Tyler Green at short, and Kyle Loesch on the mound. Of course, after being drafted in 2009, Leake did not play at all in the minor leagues that year. So when he wound up on the opening day roster in 2010, he became only the 21st player since the draft began in 1965 to play in the major leagues without appearing in a single minor league game. That's pretty staggering.
Well, he was one of the most ready pitchers ever, Tom, and not necessarily from a power standpoint, but he pitches the same in the major leagues as he pitched in college, changing speeds, hitting corners. You saw the numbers on him. He only walked 38 batters last year in 167 innings. That's good control. And out of those walks, I would imagine half of those were probably what they call situational walks, where you may not want to pitch to a certain guy. It's better off if you've got a base open, go ahead and put him on. If he doesn't chase your pitch, you walk him. He's got good control over all his pitches, and he's going to need it. He's had 2 swings and misses on his changeup. You wonder if he's going to come back with a 3rd one here to Berkman.
He did and missed outside. In only his 2nd year last year, Leake led the pitching staff in all the Triple Crown categories, and the reason being is because Johnny Cueto did not qualify to be a part of the ERA race. We've talked about that, and apparently that pitch hit Lance Berkman.
Yeah, that was a really kind of a waste pitch right there. Was hoping to throw it, and actually when you throw that pitch as a right-handed hitter, a low inside slider to a left-hander, what you want is to throw it at the back foot of the hitter, but you don't really think it's ever going to hit him. Berkman waited a long time before he finally tried to get his foot out of the way and didn't do it.
Well, Leake now all of a sudden has got to get down to business. You're facing the #1 run producer in Major League Baseball through less than a week. David Freese picking up right where he left off in his MVP postseason from last year. Has a National League leading 8 RBIs through the first 5 games of this year. Of course, it's not always who you're facing, but when you're facing them. Every team in baseball is capable of getting on a run over a 5, 7, 10-day time frame where you just can't get them out. And to begin this year, the Cardinals are that team in the National League. They have just knocked the cover off the ball. Outside of one game against Zach Greinke.
They are, but if you're pitching against them, you don't want to hear that kind of thing. What you're saying is, I've got to be aggressive. And right in this situation, he's got to be aggressive, down in the zone, see if Freese will roll over on one.
3-0.
And he's missed down with every one of his pitches. Dusty saw his pitching staff last night, namely Homer Bailey, run into problems in the first inning. Then settle down. He certainly don't want to give up a big number here.
3-0 on Freese, 2 on, 1 out, and he takes a 3-0 pitch right down the middle of strike. Might want to file that one away later in the game. I think Carlos Beltran stunned everybody in Milwaukee over the weekend. He had a 3-0 pitch his first time up, took a fastball down the middle, went to 3 over the next time, and whacked it in the seats. 3-2 on Freese.
That's actually a pitch right there that Mike Leake probably wished that Freese would hit. You put that ball into play as low as it was, a sinking action, you're going to hit it on the ground somewhere. Now you've got to come back and throw an equally as good a pitch. Runners might be going here.
Well, they were running 3-2 with 1 out last night, and Berkman was the guy who was on base. Of course, this time he's at first, Holiday the runner at second. They're not going, and it's rolled foul. The one manager that really stands out over a long period of time, regardless of the base runners, more times than not on a 3-2 pitch with 2 on and 1 out in an inning, would invariably start the runner seemingly every time, was future Hall of Fame manager Bobby Cox in Atlanta. Of course, there's no book out there, if you will, on Mike Matheny.
No, there's not, but you know, it helps the hitter concentrate on actually making contact. Because if you know your runners are in motion, the last thing you want to do is swing and miss. So subconsciously, it might have you cut your swing down a little bit, be more conscious of trying to make contact, keep your hands inside the ball, instead of seeing a pitch and taking a big wild swing at it, knowing that the runners are not going to be going.
Well, twice in a row they've not gone. They're not going again. And a third straight pitch is fouled away. So that's 8 pitches so far in this at bat. Leake against David Freese.
That's the other thing that happens when you put runners in motion, especially when you have more than one of them on the base pass, is that it seems like you've got a pinball machine going on out there. Guys are going different directions. For just a split second, the infielders are taking their eyes off the pitch. They may not see early on where that pitch is headed and starting to lean in a direction where they think it's going to be hit.
They're going this time, and it's ball 4. The bases are loaded.
That's a good at bat right there by David Freese.
We'll take a look at the Reds on defense, brought to you by Ford. Stubbs again flanked by Heisey and Bruce. Willie Harris playing for the injured Brandon Phillips at second base, and Devin Mesoraco gets a start behind the plate. Leake retired John Jay to begin the game. He since allowed a home run, a single, hit a batter, walked a batter, and they're loaded for Yadier Molina. Had a couple of hits, a home run, a double, drove in 3 in the series opener. Strike 1. So a couple of things going on here with Molina. You know, he doesn't run well. He is a guy that generally puts the ball in play. He's not a big swing and a miss guy, so Leake is hoping to get that double play and get out of this jam.
Well, he hits into a double play, at least last year, about 20% of the time. Well, that's the kind of pitch you throw that you think that you've threaded the needle out there, and it just misses just off the plate enough that you don't get the call.
To the Cardinal catcher Yadier Molina, and again it's low and outside. 2 balls and a strike, and boy, Leake is digging a hole. Holiday, Berkman, and Freeze. With one out in the inning and the Cardinals already in front 1-0. Three balls and a strike to Yadier Molina. And a bouncer down to third. Rolling on the back. Throw to first. And a double play as Votto digs it out of the dirt. How about that?
Never had a doubt. Huh. Did you?
Oh, no. Reds down 1-0. They come to bat in the bottom of the first inning. And Dusty Baker, in his 5th year managing the Reds, stacks him up like this. Willie Harris at second. Zach Cozart at short. Joey Votto, the first baseman, batting third. Scott Rowland in the cleanup spot. Jay Bruce in right. Chris Heisey in left field. And a ladder third of Drew Stubbs, Devin Mesoraco, and Mike Lee. Against Kyle Lohse, a 14-game winner and an ERA of under 3.5 a year ago. He pitched and won on opening night in his 2012 season in Miami. In fact, in that game, Lohse carried a no-hitter into the 8th inning. Went 7 1/3 innings on opening night of no-hit baseball.
13 seasons in the major leagues for Kyle Lohse. Can't believe it's been that long. He broke in back in 2001 with the Minnesota Twins.
Quickly ahead of Willie Harris at 0-2.
Pitched for the Reds for a couple of years, based parts of a couple of years in 2006 and 2007. Overall, he's 3 games under 500 in his career, 103 wins and 106 losses.
Rolled over down to the first baseman Berkman. A slight bobble, but finds a handle. 1 out. Let's take a look at St. Louis defensively, presented by Ford. Same outfield as last night. The only change among their 8 position players at shortstop tonight, Tyler Green for Rafael for a call on a battery of Lohse and Molina. Well, you can take the boy out of the city. You can't take the city out of the boy. Our old buddy Bill Hemmer from Fox News is dialed in watching MLB TV from New York City, getting ready to make his way, of all places, to Uganda the day after tomorrow. But he's dialed into his beloved Reds, the pride of Elder High. Two and one to Cozart. Zach 7 out of 14 to begin this year. A home run, a couple runs batted in. He has 2 doubles and a 3-base hit. He knocked in, well, technically did not get credit for the RBI. He hit that rocket back to the mound last night. And by the time Jake Westbrook picked it up, after initially knocking it down, he tried to throw to first, threw it all the way down the line, and his error allowed a run to score. Freeze. That's a nice play. 2 out. Jolie only 2 for his first 13 to begin the year, and he's quickly down strike 1. He does have a home run. One more game to go on this season opening homestand. That'll be an afternoon game tomorrow. And again, a reminder, no television tomorrow, so radio only. And tickets are available. It's supposed to be another bright, sunny day. So come on down to the ballpark. Sneak out of work a little bit early tomorrow. Base hit center field by Votto.
Boy, he just does that about as well as anybody in the game of baseball. And what I'm talking about is hitting the ball back up the middle. You know, he plays a game when he's in the batting cage. Joey Votto does that. Everywhere you pitch the ball, he practices hitting it back up the middle. And the reason he does that is because when he gets in a 2-strike count, he wants to shrink his swing, shrink his approach, and hit the ball at the worst fielder in the field, and that is usually the pitcher. And that's about the last place you'd expect to get it when you see that pitch coming right in on his hands is back up the box.
Roland drives one into right center field, but plenty of room out there, and that'll end the inning. A hit a man left. We played one where the Cardinals lead the Reds 1-0. Cardinals come to bat here in the top half of the second inning at Great American Ballpark against Mike Leake with a 1-0 lead. Cardinals had a 1-0 lead with the bases loaded and only one out. And Leake induced the double play ball on a 3-1 pitch off the bat of Yadier to Molina. So Daniel Descalso takes low and in, a ball and a strike. 2 out of 13 to begin the year for Descalso. And that one is looped into right field. It'll fall in a base hit. Bruce over to try and cut it off. And Jay will do so and hold him to a single.
Well, Descalso is thinking it's a double all the way, and he gets around first base. I mean, he comes out of the box hustling hard. Daniel Descalso does, but he realizes you got one of the best right fielders in all of baseball right there. Throwing left-handed, he comes up and is able to get a lot on that ball, and right on line, Willie Harris cuts it off, and Descalso, hey, if the ball gets away from the cutoff man, you go take second base. Otherwise, you keep the double play in order.
Tyler Green just 4 at-bats to begin this year as a hit and a run batted in. Strike one. Tyler Green, a young man, highly touted minor league player in the Cardinals organization, and I've really longed for him to sort of jump up and snatch up one of those middle infield spots. It hasn't happened yet. There's a fly ball to center, 1 out. Get to our game storylines brought to you by Elk & Elk, serious lawyers for serious injuries. Call 1-800-ELK-OHIO. Some big signings around baseball. You know about Brandon Phillips, Ian Kinsler with Texas, Carlos Santana in Cleveland. Ozzie Guillen flying back to Miami today, holding a press conference for some inappropriate comments regarding Fidel Castro, and the team suspended him for 5 games. They talk about teams quickly coming out of the gate. As Leake throws, there's one, and that's a double play to end the inning. Leake, a very good athlete, jumped all over it. Reds coming back to the plate.
Kyle Lohse, the batter. Mike Leake delivers this pitch. Lohse is going to turn around and just simply try to sacrifice right here, but it goes right back to Leake, who fields his position well. The turn by Cozart looks like it's routine, but look at the very end of that play. Bill Miller, the first base umpire, rings him up, but Willie Harris really was not on the bag when he received the ball. Mike Matheny threw his arms up, didn't go out to argue that call, but he quickly ran back into the clubhouse, probably to get another look on the video to see if he was right or not, but maybe he'll tuck that in his back pocket for use later on.
So Lohse rubs up the new baseball. They'll face Jay Bruce, Chris Izey, and Drew Stubbs to begin the Reds' second inning. The Cardinals in front, 1-0. Jay, 4 hits in his first 15 at bats, 3 of the 4 hits home runs.
You know, Kyle Lohse is showing us tonight why the radar gun doesn't really always tell the whole picture. He's only thrown his fastball about 89 miles an hour, but every time he's thrown a first pitch fastball to a Red, they've been late. Votto is late. Swing and a miss. Bruce, swing and a miss. Roland hit that ball to right center field. Didn't really drive it, but he was just a little bit late on it. But his whole game is that pitch right there, that changeup. He's got great arm action on it, and you can see the sinking action at the end of the pitch.
2-2 pitch is hooked down the right field line. This is going to go for extra bases. Bruce digging hard, and he will slide into second base with a leadoff double in the second inning.
Nice bit of adjustment by Jay Bruce, probably telling himself, you know what, I looked bad on that previous changeup. He's probably going to throw me another one at some point. And he waited back just long enough to hook that ball down the right field line. That slow-mo brought to us by Performance Honda.
Now Chris Heisey, 2 for his first 8. And tries to put down a bunt. And that's a foul ball. And really a good thing was a foul ball. And that ball stayed fair. It came back up and hit Heisey and looked like it hit him after he left the batter's box.
I think it may have hit him in the batter's box, if I'm not mistaken, but that's probably why they called it foul in the first place. You know, he's always got that weapon. He works on it a lot. He realizes that if he's 0 for 3 at the end of the day and he's up there for one more AB, look for him to drop one. Not a bad spot right here. They're still not playing in at third base.
Heisey already has a bunt hit this season.
I mean, David Freese a couple of steps behind third base, so even a mediocre bunt down the line with Heisey's speed may net him a base hit.
1-1 on Chris Heisey, and it's hooked to the third baseman. It will not advance a runner, and there's 1 out in the inning. Drew 0 for 2 last night, has 2 hits in his first 12 at-bats here in 2012. He did draw a walk in the game last night. Reds drew 4 of those in the first 2 innings against Jake Westbrook, but they couldn't take advantage of having a couple of guys on in each of those innings and would not get their first hit until there were 2 men out in the 5th, and that's when they scored their only run. Showed you our storylines a moment ago, and a couple of teams out of the gate with unbeaten records in Major League Baseball. The Detroit Tigers won again today, beating Tampa Bay by a final count of 5-2. So the Rays fall for the first time. The New York Mets are 4-0, and the Arizona Diamondbacks are 3-0. They'll play in San Diego tonight. 3-1 on Drew Stubbs. Jay carries a tying run out there at second base with 1 out, 3-1 to Stubbs. And this will be the second out of the inning. Well, the red batter hits a Toyota Tundra sign out of deep right center field during our game tonight. Bill Allen from Union, Kentucky will win the beautiful new Tundra that's on display at Great American Ballpark each and every day. And register for your chance to win at an upcoming game by stopping by your Cincinnati and Northern Kentucky Toyota dealers. So the Reds had a man at second with nobody out in the inning. And Jay Bruce is still standing at second base with now 2 out in the inning, and they'll intentionally walk Devin Mesoraco. to bring up the pitcher, Mike Lee. It's very interesting how managers handled this situation, one to the next. I recall years ago when Jim Leyland was the manager of the Colorado Rockies, and in a game in Arizona, second inning of the game, identical situation, runner at second base, pitcher coming up next. He did not walk the number 8 hitter. Number 8 hitter got a base hit, drove in a run, and I wondered why he didn't walk the guy. And having known Jim Leyland for a long time, he said, that's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. He said, if your pitcher can't get the number 8 batter out in the second inning of the game, then you've got a myriad of problems.
Hey, really what you do here, I mean, it's different if you've got a hitter up there who has owned this particular pitcher. But here you got Devin Mesoraco, who's never faced Kyle Lohse before, at least as far as I can tell. So I would think that the advantage would be with Lohse. And now you're turning the lineup over so that the Reds, even if Leake now makes an out, will lead off the next inning with Willie Harris, leadoff hitter. Leake's a good hitter. There's his numbers with 2 outs and runners in scoring position right there.
And a career batting average of .262. He has 27 hits already in his young career.
Yeah, sometimes managers just play hunches.
Jay Bruce, a runner at second base. Mesoraco on at first. 2 outs, a ball and a strike on Lee. And that's a good eye right there, just off the outside corner, maybe a bit low, 2-1.
Well, they're showing Mike Leake no respect at all. Look how shallow the center fielder, John Jay, and Beltran over in right field are playing. They're saying, hey, you can't, we'll challenge you to hit the ball over our heads.
It's in the air, and this should end the inning. Shortstop out will give way to Holiday. The Reds strand 2 and trail 1-0. 1-0 ball game in favor of the Cardinals. We go to the third. It's Miller time. We'll have our Miller time moment coming up later on tonight. Boy, speaking of Miller time, how about if you hit the Ohio lottery? The Mega Millions jackpot up to over $31 million. And that drawing will be held at 11 o'clock tonight. Well, those young ladies came prepared. I mean, the kind of winter we have been blessed to have here in Greater Cincinnati over about the last 4 or 5 months. Some of those coats had probably been packed up, but you had to break them back out for the old ball game tonight. Look at that little guy. He's got the jacket, the sweatshirt, the hoodie, a glove, and now a souvenir. Bronson didn't have to pay for any of that.
Well, he lives in Florida. He probably borrowed it.
Might be right. What were your impressions the other day of Bronson Arroyo start?
I liked it very much. I like the fact that he was able to throw the ball where he wanted to, and that's really what it is for him. He got so hung up last year on his lack of velocity that he tried to throw harder and harder, and he left balls out over the plate. He changed speeds. He used his breaking balls nicely. His changeup was good.
Well, he was really good for 6 innings.
Yeah.
And then that last inning.
Yeah, nowadays, though, you get 6 innings out of your starter. That's why you have middle relievers. I mean, they call that a quality start. So at some point, somebody thought, well, that's a pretty good measuring stick of a starting pitcher. Numbers looked a lot better without that 1/3 in there.
When the Marlins got 3 against him to take the lead, and the Reds came back and won it late. Lined to Heisey off the bat of John Jay. He's retired for the second time in the game, and there's one out here in the third.
Guy's got a nice swing. He's got a lot of movement in the batter's box. He's got a high leg kick, moves his hands quite a bit, but here loads up and somehow puts that sweet spot on the ball an awful lot.
Now Carlos Beltran rolls over one to the right side. He homered his first time up. Willie Harris throws him out this time. So now Matt Holliday, he singled to center field his first at bat. He takes strike one here in the third inning with the bases empty and 2 men out. Talked a little bit about Albert Pujols, of course, leaving the Cardinals after having spent his entire career with that franchise, and certainly made his mark as one of the greatest players in the history of the game through his 11 years in St. Louis, but now with the Angels. So that number 3 spot in the batting order now belongs to Holliday. Boy, and you could go around the entire major leagues and decide, okay, this guy, this guy, this guy. You wouldn't get far down on that list before you'd come up with Holliday's name to fill that void. Holliday, a former batting champion with the Colorado Rockies, a 5-time All-Star. And now the 1-2 on the ground. A very quick, productive inning for Lee. Reds come to bat. Top of the order due up, down a run. Cincinnati Reds baseball on Fox Sports Ohio, brought to you by the 2012 Ford F-150 Motor Trend Truck of the Year. By Cincy USA, let us be your travel guide to Cincinnati USA. Visit CincinnatiUSA.com. And by Skyline Chili, game time is Skyline time. Stop by your favorite Skyline Chili today. Look down on Fountain Square on this clear but cool Tuesday night in the Queen City. Cardinals and Reds in game 2 of this 3-game series, and in the bottom of the third inning, Kyle Loesch and the Redbirds a 1-0 advantage. Willie Harris bounced out to Lance Berkman in the first inning, playing in place of Brandon Phillips, who had some cramping in his hamstring after going from first to second, a stop, a fast start, and then second to home in the game last night. Harris, born and raised, still makes his home in Cairo, Georgia. And for a second time, he hits it right at Lance Berkman. Well, mark your calendars for the end of the month, 27th, 28th, 29th of April, the Reds' first 4 for $48 ticket deal. For $48, you get 4 view-level tickets. Those are great seats. And you get a voucher for a large La Rosa's pizza. So cheer on the Reds. They take on the Astros. Reds 4 for $48 ticket deal begins. 381 Reds, 381 REDS, or visit Reds.com/4 for 48. Of course, this will be the final year in the National League for those Houston Astros. They've agreed to be moved to the American League as Cozart is hit with a breaking ball. Astros will go to the American League beginning next season.
Well, Cozart's kind of laughing down there after this breaking ball hits him. And that's about the worst thing that a pitcher feels, right? Because your ball just slips out of your hand. It's only going about 60 to 70 miles an hour. You're not going to hurt a guy. Not even going to be able to brush him back off the plate with it. So you feel like it's a wasted at bat from a pitcher standpoint. But it happens right in front of a good guy to have at the plate right now.
Votto singled into center field in the first inning.
It does not take long to figure out how the Cardinals like to pitch Joey Votto. Up and in, same way the Marlins went after them. Up and in. The home run that he hit the other day was a ball that got out over the plate.
See Molina setting up inside again, and it's on the corner this time.
Yeah, really what makes Kyle Loesch tough, and he's got the same type of pitch that Mike Leake does, which is a two-seam fastball. He throws it in on the inner part of off the plate, almost like it's going to hit Joey Votto, and then it comes back a little bit. It's a tough pitch to throw for a right-handed pitcher.
Votto behind at 1-2 strikes. Cozart, a good lead held on by Berkman. He'll draw a throw. We talked about it on opening day. Cozart, his last full healthy season 2 years ago, stole 30 bases for Louisville. Play, still a 1-2 strikes. Reds have only attempted 1 stolen base here through the first 4 games of the year, and they were thrown out.
Yeah, it's kind of odd because they ran like crazy down in spring training. That was one of the things they said that they would do a lot of, which is push the running game. Just have not had the opportunity yet.
One and 2 again to Votto, and it's off the outside corner this time. So 2-2 to Joey Votto. Reds down a run, batting in the last of the 3rd inning.
This is the old get a decision pitch count.
Look at those numbers for Votto. When you put guys on base, that's career. Almost 340, and an on-base percentage of nearly 45%. In the air, but right at Holiday. Roland flied out to center, ending the first inning. Cozart at first base with 2 men out. It really is amazing the turnaround in the career of Kyle Loesch. And it's not to say that every year he's been in St. Louis he's been lights out, because that wouldn't be the case. Well, Chris brought up earlier, initially came up, he looked like a guy that Minnesota would be able to build its entire staff around. He won 13 games his first full year in the big leagues in 02. Won 14 games the following year. And then his problems began. Wound up being traded to the Reds in 2006. In 07, his only full year with the Reds, he lost 12 games, ERA over 4.5. And the very next season, under the tutelage of Dave Duncan, a 15-game winner and an ERA in the 3s. In 2009, he wasn't the same pitcher. 2010, he got hurt, only made 18 starts. But he came back healthy last year and had the best season of his career. Two and one to Roland. Inning over. One man left. We played 3. Cardinals lead 1-0. Back at Great American Ballpark in downtown Cincinnati. Cardinals 1, Reds 0. We're set to begin the 4th inning. Lance Berkman, David Freese, Yadier Molina against Mike Leake. Leake allowed a 1-out home run to Carlos Beltran in the 1st inning. He then allowed a single, hit a batter, and walked a batter. Cardinals had him loaded with 1 out and a 3-1 count on Yadier Molina. But Molina rolled up the 3rd base line. Roland caught it, tapped the bag, threw to first. Votto dug it out of there. And only 1 Cardinal has reached base since. That was a single by Descalso in the 2nd inning. Two and one to Berkman. Berkman was behind in the count, 1 ball and 2 strikes when Leake tried to come in and actually hit Berkman in the back foot, left foot. 2-2. Leake going to work. 2-2 on Lance. Berkman is low, running the count full. Struck him out on a pitch up and away. First strikeout of the game for Mike Leake. Well, moms, dads, grandparents, why not give your son or daughter a big league experience of a lifetime with the official Reds baseball and softball camps presented by Safeco Insurance? All campers receive their own Reds uniform, special instruction from a Reds coach. You'll be brought on the field for a VIP experience and a guest appearance by one of the Reds. For more information on the official Reds camp, visit reds.com/camps tonight. Freeze a tapper down to 3rd, barehanded by Roland, and got him. What a play, Scotty Roland.
Oh my. Normally charging fielders would prefer not to try to field a rolling ball with their bare hand, but he knew he had no choice right here. Freese got a good jump out of the box. He was playing deep at 3rd base, and he figured it was do or die right there, and nobody better in the business than Scott Roland. Man, what a play. That gets me fired up.
He is some kind of player, man. He might be getting older, and he might not put up the same numbers that he did as a younger man. That remains to be seen. But boy, if you're a little boy or a little girl that plays baseball, softball, I can't think of anybody that I would rather have them imitate a player's game, approach, the way you carry yourself on and off the field. And it's not to say there aren't a lot of good players out there where you could do the same, but there is none better to try and emulate than Scott Roland. That is a ball player. No, it's not often you'll hear players from other franchises, really openly root. Not to saying they're rooting against, but so many of these Cardinals, not necessarily the players in the uniform now, there are some of them, but the staff that have been with the Cardinals for a long time, that were there when Roland was there, they're all rooting for Roland to come back and play well. Molina with a 2-out double to left field. So the inning will continue for Daniel Descalso.
Well, what a difference Yadier Molina has had in the course of his career. When he first came up to the major leagues, he was always a good catcher. Great guy behind the plate, handled the game well, threw well. But, man, he has worked on his hitting. He's become a strong hitter. Hit a ball last night right out of the center field home run area, right off the batter's eye area. That ball was a rocket. Come a long way offensively.
Trouble here down the left field line, and that is a foul ball, and a good thing for Leake and the Reds. Leake ahead of Descalso, and no balls and 2 strikes, trying to keep it in a 1-0 game here in the top of the 4th. Molina at second, and it's up and away. Hitting over on the swing and a miss. A hit, a man left. The Reds come to bat in the bottom of the 4th. Still down a run. Time to take a look at our AT&T trivia question. Tomorrow we celebrate the 100th anniversary of the opening of Crosley Field. How about that? Who hit the most runs, home runs, in the history of Crosley Field? We'll give you a little time to think about that. We'll look at everybody for the very first game at Crosley Field. Chris, you had a chance to go there as a youngster.
I actually had a chance to pitch there as a youngster.
Really?
Yeah, I was able to pitch at Crosley Field, Riverfront Stadium. We've thrown some batting practice here.
So, not whole, or is it a high school game?
It was a CYO game.
Okay.
When we were in the 8th grade. We played in one of the city championship games. Our outfielders are playing right there at the cutout of the infield.
Because you graduated from St. X what year?
1973.
Okay. Well, they were already in Riverfront by then for 3 years.
But when I was in the 8th grade, it was the last year, yeah. Place seemed immense.
Well, if that seemed immense, I remember like it was yesterday. We came to visit Cincinnati after my dad got the job in 1974, and we were living down in Norfolk, Virginia Beach, Virginia. And where the grounds crew used to come out behind home plate, it was pouring down rain. So we didn't go out on the field, but just standing there and looking up into that ballpark. Wow. Jay Bruce gone swinging to begin the bottom of the 4th inning. Well, you want to take a guess on who hit the most career home runs at Crosley Field?
I go with one of my favorites all time, Big Clue.
Probably a pretty good guess.
And that's exactly what it is the guess.
wonder how many home runs Frank Robinson hit in that ballpark.
But he hit a few.
Heisey hit that ball off the end of the bat.
Tough to do.
Reds have 2 hits in the game. They've had 4 base runners. Mesoraco was intentionally walked, and Cozart was hit on a breaking ball that just slipped off the fingertips of Kyle Lohse back in the 3rd inning. Well, the Reds on offense so far anyway in the first game and a half of this series have been very quiet. Didn't get their first hit last night against Jake Westbrook until the 5th inning, and wound up with just 3 hits total in the game. One ball, 2 strikes. Lohse looking in. Okay's assigned with Molina. And a fly ball right center. Jay had it played that way. 2 out. Right now at FoxSportsOhio.com, you can join the Hall of Famer Hal McCoy for a live in-game chat. Plus get Pat McManaman's NFL mock draft for both the Bengals and the Brownies. And for everybody, you can get it all at FoxOhio.com, presented by 1-800-SAFE-AUTO and SafeAuto.com. Two out, none on. Here's Drew Stubbs. He grounded out to the 3rd baseman Freese back in the 2nd inning. That was really the closest thing the Reds have had to a threat in this game against Lohse. They got a leadoff double by Bruce in the 2nd inning. But Heisey grounded out to 3rd. Stubbs grounded out to 3rd. And after an intentional walk, they got Leake on a fly ball to left, stranding 2. And the inning is over. Reds are gone 1, 2, 3. A couple of strikeouts in the inning for Lohse. Move to the 5th. 1-0 St. Louis. Cincinnati Reds baseball on Fox Sports Ohio, brought to you by JTM Food Group, creating great dishes together with the food service industry for over 30 years. By your Cincinnati and Northern Kentucky Toyota dealers. For a dealer near you, visit buyatoyota.com, and by Burger King, a proud sponsor of the opening week of Major League Baseball. Rosie Red doing her thing out along the concourse. Boy, have they added even more to what was an already dynamite fan zone out there. In fact, the Reds have the only hardball batting cages in Major League Baseball out on the concourse now. They built a beautiful new infield, much like the one we've seen out in Arizona at the Goodyear Ballpark, where the little guys can come out there and play wiffle ball on a full regulation field. You can hit a home run and whack it out of the stadium. It looks like a mini ballpark over there. So check it out. Even if you've been here many, many times in the past, You know, they still have that. There's a field, a little stadium. You can see a youngster running around the bases there. And believe it or not, you can take steps, or you can take a slide down to the fast pitch hard ball batting cages below.
Now, you've taken the slide, right?
I did on opening day.
How's that experience?
With Phil Castellini. If the boss gets on the slide, you better get on there with him. That ball clobbered down the left field line, and that is off the wall from Tyler Green. And he's on his way to second base with a double to begin the Cardinals' 5th inning.
Well, sets up a bunt situation very much like it was last time up for Kyle Loesch when he came to the plate. That ball was whacked pretty good. Came within about 6 feet of leaving the ballpark. Just a line drive that never really got very high. You see where the pitch location was, and Green was all over it. So now you got to figure that Loesch will be up there bunting. Roland will be charging. So will Joey Votto. This is where I really would like to make it tough on a hitter to get the bunt down.
We saw the Cardinals do it to the Reds last night when Homer Bailey, rather than bunting up the third base line, bunted to the first baseman, and they got an out.
Well, I mean, from a pitcher standpoint, you know, there's two schools of thought. One is go ahead and throw a strike, let the guy bunt the ball, get the out, and then go from there. The other is, if this guy's not a real good bunter, I'm going to make it really tough on him. Throw one up and in like he just did there. Maybe throw a good breaking ball. Try to make him jab at it. Maybe he pops it up and you get a double play. I always thought a good slow curveball is a good pitch for a pitcher to throw on a bunt. Because sometimes get anxious, and some guys do, and they kind of jab at it and they pop it up, or they bunt it right back to you while you're charging.
0-1, and there's that breaking ball you talked about.
I'll tell you, I go back to the time I used to bunt against Tom Seaver. You'd get one pitch to bunt. If you didn't get it down, the next one's under your chin. Then he's throwing you 2 sliders down and away. He said, son, I give you a chance. Now you blew it.
I'll tell you what, Mr. Welsh, you are on top of your game tonight, and so too is Mr. Lee. 1 out in the inning.
And Mr. Devin Mesoraco as well, out of that catcher's box and over there to catch it. Didn't have to, but he gets to put out on that. See, when pitchers practice bunts, they don't usually go in and face a guy who's throwing curveballs. In fact, when most batting practice is thrown, it's all straight anyway. Sometimes a team will set up a pitching machine to throw curveballs, but for the most part, you're hitting straight stuff.
All right, now you roll over back to the top of the order. John Jay has bounced to second, hit the ball hard his last time up, lining out to Heisey in left field. Cardinals with a 1-0 lead, batting here in the 5th. Runner at second, 1 out. Time was called and granted. Wow. That was rather late right there for Dale Scott to grant John Jay time.
Well, you're never really sure how long it took for Dale Scott to grant him time. You have to ask for permission. Oh,
0-2. Milwaukee has jumped all over Paul Maholm. Still batting in the 1st inning at Wrigley Field with a 5-0 lead. Breaking ball just missed. Chicago will be the final stop on the Reds' first road trip of the year. The team will be leaving after the game tomorrow. 4 games in Washington, D.C., 3 against these Cardinals at Busch Stadium, and then 3 in Chicago. 1-2 to Jay. Lifted towards left. Heisey backpedals, and that's out number 2 in the inning.
And that's a run if they get the bunt down.
Well, like today, get ready for Reds action 30 minutes before every game with Reds Live, presented by Ray St. Clair Roofing on Fox Sports Ohio. Everything you need to know. Chris Welsh will be bringing you the very latest information. We call them tidbits right up to the first pitch, right here on Fox Sports Ohio.
I thought it was Tom's tidbits.
Oh. Here's Carlos Beltran. Good 2-0 pitch right there on the inside corner. That is a pitcher's pitch at 2-0. 2-1 now to Beltran.
Well, what makes Mike Leake so good is the fact that for a guy that doesn't throw hard, he controls both sides of the plate very well. He doesn't only pitch to one side low and away. He'll come in just as easily to left-handers as anybody.
Left that one out over the plate a little bit. Beltran a big swing and a foul ball straight back. So after falling behind 2-0, Leake is battled back to even the count, trying to strand a runner out there at second base here in the Cardinal fifth. The inning began with Green's double, and he still stands there with 2 away, and that's the end of the inning. Leake 5 innings of 4-hit 1-run baseball. For the Reds batting the bottom of the fifth, time to answer our AT&T trivia question. Who hit the most home runs at Crosley Field? Frank Robinson.
Good guess.
Hall of Famer, of course, his number retired, number 20 by the Reds. Truly one of the greatest players in the history of the game. Mesoraco intentionally walked his first time up, and this time he pops up in foul ground to Berkman. Well, the Reds are having a mighty hard time squaring anything up against Westbrook last night and Loesch so far tonight. Leake ended the second inning with 2 on with a fly ball to the left fielder Holiday. He bats with 1 out, nobody on here in the fifth, and the Reds down 1-0. Loesch has only walked 1 batter. That was an intentional pass to Mesoraco in the second. He hit a batter, Cozart, in the third, and got his first 2 strikeouts of the night in the fourth. Freeze to the glove side, 2 out. Sundays here on Fox Sports Ohio after the ball game, join Tom Brokaw for Boys in the Hall. This week, Frank Robinson. So tune in for that. Sundays presented by Subway Restaurants, where winners eat. I never knew. Of course, he might not be a baseball fan at all, but you know, the less than handful of times I've ever seen Tom Brokaw interviewed. And not that I'd hang around all that long to watch, but I never recall him being a big sports fan. I could be totally wrong on that.
I couldn't tell either way. But he always spoke highly of you.
He did. Hitting over. Hemmer's my guy. Not Tom Brokaw. My guy's Billy Hemmer. Well, it's been a very quiet offensive night. All the noise made off the bat of Carlos Beltran in the first inning to make it a 1-0 Cardinal lead. They had him loaded but failed to score. When the Reds turned a double play, Scott Rowland has made a pair of marvelous plays defensively, and Mike Leake, after that very shaky first inning, has been lights out ever since. He's only allowed 3 hits over the last 4 innings. He has struck out 3, and he'll get an out off the bat of Holiday on the first pitch here in the top of the 6th inning in foul ground of Otto.
You know, sometimes, Tom, the game takes on a pitching energy or a non-offensive energy, and that's the way it seems to go. Neither team really getting great swings on against either pitcher. A lot of easy outs on the night.
Hey, Reds fans, if you're in the restaurant industry, let JTM Food Group help you with great tasting, healthier products for your menu. JTM. One of the great companies based right out of here in Cincinnati, Ohio. The Moss Boys. Tied up on that swing. He definitely went around, confirming that is C.B. Buckner working down at third. Angel Campos out at second, Bill Miller at first, and Dale Scott behind the plate tonight for game 2 of this series. A pitcher's duel, Leake and Loesch. And it's 1-2 on Berkman. Leakin knocking on the door of 90 pitches. This will be number 87 coming up. But really, the only stressful inning he has had was that very first inning. That one hit hard down the right field line into the corner. And takes a funny hop on Bruce, and Berkman's making a turn. He's coming to third base. Here comes the throw, and he is in there safely. Bruce was waiting for that ball to bounce right back towards him. Instead, it kicked back towards the line. And give Berkman all the credit. He never slowed up.
I'll tell you what, Lance Berkman is running about as well as he ever has before. Who's had his knee completely reconstructed, lost a lot of weight. He comes barreling around second base, never even thinks about slowing up. And with 1 out, puts himself 90 feet away.
So now everybody in along the Reds infield as David Freese looks at a strike on the outside corner. Berkman had only 2 triples all of last year. 0-1 pitch to Freese. Well, that's money hitting right there. That ball into the seats and a 2-run home run by David Freese.
Wow.
10 runs batted in already this year for Freese, and this is game number 6 for St. Louis.
Boy, if you've got a young man at home, want to teach him a swing, this is the one you want to emulate right there. Keeps his hands back, drives as much as he can, everything he can to right center field. That's not all that bad of a breaking ball right there that Mike Lee laid in there. We can't believe it. Hits the top of the fence and gets out of here in a 3-0 lead. Boy, does he just stay back and use his hands.
Brought up earlier, the only challenge for Freese that has held him back is staying healthy. He's never played more than 97 games in a major league season. Had broken bones in both of his feet, an ankle, got hit on the hand last year. He's not some 23, 24-year-old hotshot prospect anymore.
No. In fact, he's on his second organization. Originally signed by the Padres. Cardinals went to get him in exchange for Jim Edmonds.
He'll turn 29 years old in a couple of weeks from now. And trying to make up for lost time. Molina gone swinging. 4 strikeout of the night by Leake and 2 are out. So here's Descalso, who is single to right and struck out. Well, the Reds have got to find some way to generate some offense here. They've got 2, 3, and 4 in the batting order. Coming up in the bottom of the 6th inning as Sam LeCure begins to get loose in the Reds bullpen. There you look at Juan Porky Lopez. He's all bundled up tonight. Two and 2 on Descalso. Votto will back up. Underhand feed to Leake, and that is all but damage done. A triple by Berkman, a 2-run home run from Freese. 3-0 Cardinals. Time to take a look at our Burger King in-game box score. And again, very quiet tonight for the Reds. They only have 2 base hits. Votto had a 2-out single in the first inning, and Bruce had a leadoff double in the second. And that's all.
Last night we showed that panel. The Reds only had 2 hits. They ended up with 3 on the night.
That one will find a gap. This ought to be 3 bases for Cozart easily. And it is.
Man.
Second triple already this young season for Zach Cozart.
It is what's so impressive about Zach Cozart, his ability to stay behind the ball, drive it the other way, much in the same way that David Freese has shown us his ability to do that. Makes you awfully tough to get out as a hitter. When you cover that outside corner, let the ball travel deep on you like that, and just trust your hands.
Well, the Cardinal infield obviously playing back with a 3-0 lead. And Joey Votto looks at a strike. Votto is single to center, fly to left. High fly ball left center. This will bring in a run, but it'll be the first out in the inning. Sac fly RBI by Votto, and it's a 3-1 ball game. Rolling his fly to center, and it'll line drive right at Tyler Green, the shortstop, his last time up. 0-1. Krusek has joined LeCure in the Reds bullpen. 3-0 now to Roland. Mike Lee cruising right along and surrendered just 1 run on 5 hits through the front 5, but allowed a triple and a home run to Berkman and Freese in the top of this inning. Reds have gotten 1 of those runs back, but they're still trailing, this time by a pair. 3-1 to Roland. In the dirt, and Berkman able to scoop it out of there for the 2nd out. Well, if you're hitting the road, why not take the Cincinnati Reds with you by subscribing to MLB.tv? Visit Reds.com to order. Get more details. MLB.tv. Baseball everywhere. Now Jay Bruce. He is double to right and struck out. One to Jay. Well, that's a guy who really has matured over the year right there with Kyle Loesch. Falls behind 3-1 and then pulls a string 80 miles per hour and had Jay way out ahead of it.
Well, you mentioned that Dave Duncan had such an important part in his maturing as a pitcher, and he had. Before he went over to the Cardinals, he was primarily a fly ball pitcher. Dave Duncan said, look at the potential of him as a sinker ball pitcher, and his ground ball ratio went way up, and so did his effectiveness.
Second time tonight, Jay hooks one into right field, and he has his 2nd hit. So the inning will continue for Chris Heisey. Come for the Reds, stay for more fun. Take a walk on the wild side. Visit the world-famous Cincinnati Zoo and Botanical Garden. Why not make it a weekend getaway? Book your stay at CincinnatiUSA.com and tell them Jim Day sent you. Mr. CincinnatiUSA.com. Heisey is rolled out to third and popped up to center. Of course, there's no set or designated factor that decides whether it's Heisey or Ryan Ludwig in the lineup. Ludwig won for his first 7. And Heisey 2 for his first 10. You can pretty much take it to the bank that we'll see Ludwig getting the start in the outfield tomorrow. And there's a pop-up down the right field line. Long run for everybody, but Descalso will get there, and that'll retire the side. Reds get a run, but still trail as we move to the 7th, 3-1. Reds baseball on Fox Sports Ohio, being brought to you by AT&T, the nation's largest 4G network. AT&T, rethink possible. By Cincinnati Children's, in the top 10 for all selected pediatric specialties in U.S. News and World Report best children's hospitals. And by the dependable, long-lasting Chevy Silverado and your tri-state Chevy dealers. Cruising up Vine Street in downtown Cincinnati. Boy, what an unbelievable job they're starting to do up on the northern part of Vine Street. Once you get beyond Central Parkway there, all the new restaurants and nightlife up that way. Of course, good luck trying to get in there on a Friday or Saturday night. I sat down there for 2 hours waiting around one night.
Really?
Yeah.
Did you let them know who you were? Maybe that's the reason why.
They didn't know, and nor did they care. They were looking for the paying customer. And here comes Sam LeCure.
Well, from Leake to LeCure, not a bad start for Mike Leake. Another 6-inning performance. That's pretty much as good as gold for him. You can pencil him in at the beginning of the ball game. Sam LeCure, he's a Missouri boy. Born in Jefferson City, Missouri.
Leake 6 innings, 7 hits, those 3 runs. He fanned 4, walked 1 and hit a batter. And his only walk and the only batter he hit was in the first inning. So the Cardinals leading 3-1 as they bat Green, Loesch due up. Although the Cardinals have a pinch hitter. Standing down in the on-deck circle and will bat for Kyle Loesch. Gone swinging is Tyler Green. Well, don't forget Saturday NASCAR on Fox heads down to the great state of Texas under the lights in prime time. Coverage of Sprint Cup Series racing presented by Farmers, live from the Texas Motor Speedway Saturday, 7 p.m. Eastern. Well, the Cardinals will go to Eric Komatsu to bat for Loesch, who has his second outstanding outing of this very, very young 2012 year. On opening night down in Miami, he carried a no-hitter through 7 1/3 innings. Didn't have that tonight, but through 6 he allows just 4 hits and 1 run. Reds are hoping to get to that Cardinal bullpen over their final 3 at bats and even this series. 1-1. Good breaking ball to the outside corner, a called strike. 1-2. Nice to see our old buddy Lance McAllister stop up to the broadcast booth to say hello. He's everywhere.
He is.
And you were on his show yesterday.
I was indeed.
Are you going to become a regular on his show?
I doubt it. I would have to.
Well, I would think not.
Displace somebody like you. That'll never happen. As tight as you guys are.
Fastball up and in. I mean, he's everywhere. If the Reds are on during the day, then he is on at night. If the Reds are on at night, then he's on during the day. And then coming down the ballpark. He's like Jim Day. He's everywhere.
Tell you one thing about Lance. He does his homework.
No doubt about it. 2-2 the count now. And LeCure misses to run it full. You want to figure out a way to bring your baseball tech talk to the radio side. That'd be a nice segment. You could do that on radio.
You think so?
Yeah. It'd be a little more challenging. There's no doubt about that. Still 3-2.
But anybody listening wouldn't appreciate the fact that I'd be wearing a uniform.
That's the idea.
When are we going to get you down to fantasy camp and have you put a uniform on?
I want to do it. I really want to do it.
Lance has been down there.
I'd like to get down there. Re-ante the count. And LeCure delivers, and it just missed. So a 1-out ball. To the pinch hitter. We go back to the top of the order, and John Jay. Oh, right after the Reds game, stick around because Fox Sports Ohio will break it all down. Chris Welsh will do the same. Reds Live brought to you by Kings Honda and the Kings Auto Mall. Visit KingsHondaUSA.com. 1 on, 1 out. Cardinals in front, 3-1. We're in the top of the 7th inning. LeCure really settled nicely into that relief role last year. He's made it clear he'd still love to be a starting pitcher. But if it's starting at Louisville or relieving in the big leagues, that's a no-brainer. Made 43 appearances for the Reds last year, his first full season in the major leagues. And in his 39 relief outings, he got 4 starts, you might remember. His ERA as a reliever was 3.3. Runner goes and it's fouled away.
Well, the interesting thing and really impressive thing about Sam LeCure is the fact that the innings that he pitched overall, 77 innings, gave up 20 fewer hits than innings pitched. I mean, there was a time there you roll him out there and nobody could touch him. He had great control, keeps his head still when he delivers, got a nice breaking ball that he throws for a strike. That comeback fastball. Devin Mesoraco holds it there for just an extra second and gets a call from Dale Scott.
Oh, and to the count now on John Jay. And that's strike 3. Same pitch, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's the same pitch. It was a little lower in the strike zone. That's not an easy pitch to learn or teach. You have to have really good direction as a pitcher. If you throw across your body at all, you'll never be able to get that ball to back up like that. And that's one reason why left-handers last year hit about $180 off of Sam LeCure. You just give up on that pitch and it comes right back over the plate.
So now Carlos Beltran, he homered to right center field in the first inning, has since bounced to second and struck out swinging. Reds have a ladder third in the batting order due up in the last of the inning. Stubbs, Mesoraco, and then a pinch hitter for LeCure. Milwaukee still 5-0 leading in Chicago over the Cubs. That game in the bottom of the second inning. The Washington Nationals in the 6th, a 3-0 lead over the unbeaten Mets. Only final from earlier today, the Dodgers beat the Pirates 2-1. Very early on in Houston, hosting Atlanta. Arizona will play in San Diego later tonight. One final earlier today in the American League. We told you Detroit remains unbeaten, handing the Rays their first loss, 5-2 the final there. Justin Verlander will get the ball tomorrow in the series finale. How about his outing on opening day? Verlander shut out the Boston Red Sox, and then Jose Valverde, who did not blow a save all of last year. Blew the save in the 9th inning, but Detroit wound up winning the game. No decision, of course, for Verlander.
Tough day for closers that day. Mariano Rivera blew a save that day.
Yankees trailing again tonight in Baltimore. That game in the 6th inning, 4-1. Red Sox losing again. In Toronto, 3-1 in the 6th. And Texas a 1-0 lead over Seattle in the 3rd. Kansas City and Oakland later tonight. Two and one to Beltran. Runner at first, 2 are out. Boy, LeCure paying a lot of attention to that runner over at first base.
Well, he's got a little bit above average speed, Komatsu does. Young man the Cardinals picked up off the Rule 5 draft from the Washington Nationals. And with a 3-1 lead, you think that Mike Matheny just may want to press the running game a little bit, want to keep him close. This is one of those rare times that Joey Votto is holding the runner on in the old-fashioned way. Normally with a left-handed hitter up there, he'll be a couple of steps off the bag. He'll be over in this area holding the runner on instead of on the bag. But I think they're so worried about Komatsu stealing the base, they want to keep him as close as possible.
2-2 the count on Beltran. And a breaking ball smothered beautifully by Mesoraco, preventing the runner from advancing. So he'll start now. Votto going to make sure LeCure is aware that he's going to back up behind him over at first. LeCure wants a new baseball from the home plate umpire Dale Scott. And now Votto going to back up. The runner starts on a 3-2 pitch. I would imagine, Chris, this is something we will see a little bit more frequently in games from time to time where young Devin Mesoraco's behind the plate. He had about a month worth of catching last year part-time.
I would imagine also that he's been coached to say, if you've got any questions, you call timeout, you run out there and talk to the pitcher. Learning on the job does not mean making a mistake with a runner on base in a tight ball game.
3-2 to Beltran. 2 outs, runner at first, and here it comes. And he fouls it away. We'll do it once more. LeCure really taking the air out of the ball, to borrow a basketball phrase here. A lot of time in between pitches. They're trying to finish off Beltran. Weakly popped up. Will Votto have room? No, he won't. Mitchell Boggs, who's been up and down with the Cardinals over the last 5 seasons, is getting loose in the bullpen. They've used Boggs in virtually every role conceivable for a pitcher. But they're hoping that he has finally settled in and found a home in that bullpen. 3-2 again to Beltran. Jam shot pop up, and it'll fall. So a 4-3-2 pitch is coming up. This will be the 9th pitch overall in this at bat. Cardinals with a 3-1 lead. A runner at first and 2 are out here in the top of the 7th inning. We got a long way to go in this one. Reds able to rally from behind late to beat the Marlins on Sunday afternoon. Now the cure ready, and once more the 3-2 pitch. Walking.
Oh. Fox Track says this pitch is up at the very top of the strike zone.
Well, now LeCure needs to forget all about that. You may remember yesterday, Homer Bailey did not get a call on a 3-2 pitch to Lance Berkman. And then allowed a couple of home runs in the inning. So they're 2 on with 2 out. And here's Matt Holliday. It's in there, a strike. LeCure has walked 2 here in the inning. He has struck out 2 in the inning. And trying to keep it at a 2-run game. Holliday is single to center, grounded to short, and found out to Joey Votto his last time up. 2 on, 2 out, 1 ball, 1 strike, and a bouncer foul to get ahead.
Devin Mesoraco is going to go out there now with a runner on second base. He wants to make sure that the sequence of signs that he gives LeCure, that they understand what's going on. Plus, you're ahead in the count. You probably want to go over not 1 but 2 pitches. What do you want to throw here? And then if you go 2 and 2, what do you throw on the 2-2 pitch?
Swing and a miss, struck him out. So LeCure fans aside in the Cardinals 7th. He also walks a pair. Reds will bat in the bottom of the 7th against Boggs, down by 2. Why not make your reservation today for the Front Gate Outdoor Luxury Suite just to our left here at Great American Ballpark, directly above the owner's suite. Covered outdoor area. You can host a group of 30 all the way up to 48 for one all-inclusive price. Reserve your game date today. Call the Reds Group Sales 765-7600. That is a great spot. Folks stretching out a little bit on a chilly spring night. And the Reds come to bat here in the last of the 7th inning, trailing the Cardinals 3-1. Kyle Loesch is out. And we've seen this guy through the years a lot, Mitchell Ball.
In fact, he made his first ever Major League start against the Reds. Got a win in that ball game. The Reds, however, hope to get to the Cardinal bullpen more than they got to the Cardinal starter, Kyle Loesch, tonight. Loesch was on his game for the 2nd time in a row. Did not allow a run here, and allowed only 1 run here, and did not allow any earned runs in his first start.
Drew Stubbs to lead things off. He'll be followed in the Reds 7th inning by Devin Mesoraco, and then a pinch hitter. Of course, the only left-handed batter off the Reds bench going into this season after the trade of Juan Francisco is Willie Harris, and he's already in the lineup tonight. Got to wonder about the availability of Brandon Phillips. You have Wilson Valdez, Ryan Hannigan, Miguel Cairo, and Ryan Ludwig all available. One out. Stubbs 0 for 3, a pair of ground balls to third and a strikeout. The only 2 runs the Reds have scored in this series. One on a sac fly by Joey Votto in this game in the 6th inning. And last night, a line drive off of the pitcher that after it deflected away from Jake Westbrook, he still tried to throw to first and threw it down the right field line, allowing Brandon Phillips to score all the way from first base.
I think what you're seeing, Tom, is a trend that you'll see throughout the season. I'm not talking about the Reds' inability to get the bat on the ball or score runs. I mean runs overall. They were down last year. They were down the year before. They will continue to be low-scoring ball games. And last year, the Reds did not have a good record on a 2-run game.
There's a drive into left center field, and it will die in front of the wall. Boy, on a summer night, that baby's long gone, but not tonight.
Funny, because the wind appears to be blowing out much in the way it blew out last night, but that ball just didn't carry. Devin Mesoraco is mighty strong. There's no question about that. In fact, he hit the longest home run of anybody down in Louisville last year. He just got under that one a little bit.
So now the one-time Cardinal, Ryan Ludwig, who has not started in either of the first 2 games of this series. One for his first 7 as a Red. And there's strike 1. So Boggs is set down the first 2 here in the Reds' 7th. And a count of 1-1 on Ludwig. Willie Harris waits on deck. Chase that one down and away from him. And now Ludwig in a hole at 1-2. Two and two to Ludwig. Count will stay right there. Of course, the Cardinals begin this year with a closer that ended last year. That would be Jason Mott. Showed you yesterday they had 8 different pitchers pick up saves last year. They led the league in blown saves last year. And now the 2-2. Again, fouled out of play. We brought up last night, if you weren't with us, it was a bullpen in complete disarray for the better half of 4.5 months of the year. It really kept the Cardinals from being a legitimate contending team because they had the highest scoring team in the league last year. But they gave away so many games late, but all of a sudden that bullpen got it together. And that will end the inning a 1-2-3 7th for Mitchell Boggs. Cardinals bat in the 8th. leading 3-1. So here we go in the 8th inning. 3 runs, 7 hits for St. Louis. The Cardinals have stranded 6. Reds 1 run, 4 hits, and they've left 5. And now taking over on the mound, young right-hander who's been so impressive his first season and a half, nearly 2 full years with the Reds, Logan Ondrusek.
Well, you keep him fresh, and he will really be able to give you some pretty good baseball. 3rd game for Logan already. He's not giving up much. Just a hit, no runs. Big guy kind of ran out of gas a little bit last year, but man, oh man, when he was on his game, he works the downward plane about as well as anybody around. Holds that baseball every time he takes a sign in that split finger grip. That's his bread and butter pitch.
Well, he'll be going right through the teeth of this Cardinal batting order. And the first pitch is whacked into right field, a base hit by Berkman. Join NBA columnist Sam Amico during your lunch break for a live web chat about everything going on in the NBA tomorrow at noon on FoxSportsOhio.com. Tomorrow at noon. Berkman going to be taken down for a pinch runner. Rafael Furcal will come on to run for Berkman.
You wonder if maybe they'll just try to put the running game on right here and test the arm of Devin Mesoraco. We've seen him throw the ball very well in the spring.
Well, I tell you, he better get down to business, because this guy right here is the hottest guy on the planet. Freeze 1 of 2 in the game, is walked, was robbed of a hit on a spectacular play by Rowland, and he has another hit after homering his last time up. We brought it up last year. His last 110 at bats now, going back to the end of last season, the postseason, and begin this year. His last 110 at bats, he is batting .460. Well, now the question becomes, although he isn't frequently asked to do it, do you ask Yadier Molina to put down a bunt? Molina had 5 sacrifices a year ago, 2 the year before that. You got a lot of options here.
This will begin to tell you what kind of a manager Mike Matheny is going to be. Play the small ball game, sacrifice him, get him over, or just let his guys sit back and wail. Of course, the way they've been hitting the ball so far this young season, he's been letting them wail, and it's been a pretty good strategy.
Well, tonight the Cardinals' 6th game of the year. They have scored 34 runs into 6 games. One end of the count. Double play ball here. There's one. Harris to turn it. And that's big for Logan Ondrusek. So Mike Matheny elects not to bunt with a 2-run lead. And the Reds cash in on the double play.
I guess 2 ways to look at it if you're managing the ball club. One is if you let him swing away and a couple of hits back to back, you can pretty much put this game on ice. Or you can play it conservatively and say, well, we're still down at the bottom of the order. We got 7, 8, and 9 coming up, and should I really sacrifice for that part of the order?
Well, you got one more out to go now. Runner at third. And it's a foul ball off the bat of Descalso. Leake went the front 6, allowed 7 hits and 3 runs. Sam LeCure a scoreless 7th. And Andrusik an out away from making it a scoreless 8th after 2 were on with none out. Looks like he's having a hard time with that pitch so far in this inning.
You know, I think that what the Cardinal pitchers were complaining about last night was the dry air and the inability to really feel the baseball. Very important for a guy that throws a splitter to feel that ball coming through his fingers. No problem with that fastball, though.
One and 2, and it stays high. Count even on Daniel Descalso, who is singled, struck out, and grounded out.
There's a splitter grip we were talking about.
Strike 3 called on the inside corner to end the inning. Couple of hits, a man left. Top of the order coming up. Don't forget about the Reds fleece blanket giveaway. The first 20,000 fans through the gate on Saturday, April the 28th, presented by Duke Energy Retail. For tickets, call 513-381-REDS or visit select Kroger locations or visit reds.com. Mitchell Boggs on for his 2nd inning of relief following Kyle Loesch. For a call remains in the game after running a moment ago to play short. Tyler Green goes from short to 2nd. Daniel Descalso goes from 2nd over to 1st. And that one weakly popped up into left field. 0 for 4 night for Willie Harris. Boggs making it look easy.
As did his predecessor, Kyle Loesch.
Now Zach Cozart. Cozart making his 14th major league start tonight. And he has a hit in all but 2 of those major league starts. 1 of 2 tonight, tripled to right center field leading off the 6th inning and scored the only Reds run of the game on a sac fly from Votto. 2 out in the inning. Again, a reminder, 12:35 the first pitch tomorrow. No television tomorrow. Jaime Garcia, left-hander, and a good one for the Cardinals against the Reds opening day starter and winner.
It's a great pitching matchup. First businessman special of the year.
Well, the Reds have got to find a way to start swinging the bats. 3 hits last night, 4 hits tonight. Now you look at this Cardinal club, and you got to remember, their only loss of the year, they got shut out. So they have really scored 34 runs in 4 games. There's a broken bat roller, and boy, 1, 2, 3 quickly go the Reds in the 8th. We head for the 9th. Cardinals in front, 3-1. Reds are down 3-1. Cardinals coming to bat here in the top half of the 9th inning, and the Reds are going to bring on their closer, left-hander Sean Marshall.
Got to keep him sharp. That's why they got to bring him in there every other game anyway, and even if they don't have a save opportunity for him. He's been in one game and has thrown the ball extremely well. A couple of strikeouts, nothing else really to show.
That was on opening day when the Reds had that 4-0 lead, so they brought him in the 9th inning and retired the side. 1-2-3. Reds in the bottom of the 9th inning will have Rolen, Bruce, Heisey, and they're hoping for a lot more than that. I would imagine they have Jason Mott beginning to get loose down in the Cardinal bullpen beyond the right field wall. And there he is. Tyler Green to lead things off. He'll be followed by the pitcher spot. And then back to the top of the order in John Jay. Of course, the Cardinals have seen a lot of Sean Marshall over the last 3 years, playing inside the National League Central Division while pitching for the Cubs. Big breaking ball snaps in there for strike 2. Shane Robinson begins to get loose in the on-deck circle. He'll come up and bat for Boggs, who worked 2 perfect innings tonight. That's good morning, good afternoon, and good night. Well, now it's Miller time, and our Miller time moment. April 10th, 1989. Ken Griffey Jr., his first major league home run. And then, of course, on his father's birthday in the year 2000, he hit number 400. Will Tapper back to the mound, and Marshall will throw out Robinson. And just like that, 2 men are out. Junior made his major league debut a week earlier in April of 1989. Of course, Ken Griffey Sr. and Jr. became the first father-son duo to appear on an active major league roster at the same time. And that was Senior's 50th birthday in 2000 at Coors Field, when Junior became the youngest player in history to hit 400 home runs. He had just turned 30 years old and hit it off Rolando Arroyo. Understand Ken's son Trey, a very good high school wide receiver in football, is already committed to play collegiately for the University of Arizona, and their new coach, former Michigan coach Rich Rodriguez. Fastball taken inside, and I guess Ken Griffey, his daughter is one of the best high school basketball players in the country and is being heavily recruited by everybody. 1-2 pitch. Marshall, a very impressive perfect night.
Again.
Here we go. Do the Reds have a rally in them against Jason Mott? Time to take a look at our John Morrell Hot Dog play of the game. Scott Rolen. Doesn't get much better than this.
Well, we've already seen him in this very short season make 2 of the most outstanding plays you'll ever see a third baseman make. On opening day, going deep back behind the bag at third base, made a miraculous play, and got the slow roller variety coming in and taking a hit away. Now we need him to swing the bat.
29-year-old right-hander Jason Mott, originally drafted out of Valley Central High in Montgomery, New York.
As a catcher.
Yep, as a catcher. Went on to Iona, where he caught there at Iona College. And a catcher for 3 years, 2003, 4, and 5.
Now, he was changed over to a pitcher by, at that time, the Cardinals minor league pitching coordinator Mark Riggins. Mark Riggins is now the Reds pitching coordinator in the minor leagues. Said he brought Jason in one day and he said, you know, how would you like the pitch? Because he wasn't hitting very well. But boy, he had a rocket arm from behind the plate. And he said, I'm all for it. And they went down to their minor league complex, and Mark Riggins spent 2 weeks with him. And he took to it right away. And he comes in firing upper 90s. That last pitch, 97.
Scott Rowland, Jay Bruce, Chris Heisey. If we get any further than that, Drew Stubbs will bat, and then Devin Mesoraco. Reds are hoping for all those guys and then some. Down by 2 here in the bottom of the 9th inning. That's 97-mile-per-hour gas right there. Mike Leake pitched very well tonight.
Yeah, he really did.
But right now, he is in danger of being hung with a loss unless the Reds can rally. Loesch, the pitcher of record for St. Louis. 1-2 to Rowland, who is fly to center, line to short, and grounded to short. High fly ball, straight away center field. Well, we have the day game tomorrow, and then the Reds are off on their first road trip. It begins with 4 in D.C. We'll have every game for you on Fox Sports Ohio. Latos against Gonzalez in the opener. That's a good one. That's a Nationals home opener, by the way. Arroyo against Zimmerman in game 2. Bailey and Edwin Jackson in game 3. And Leake and Detweiler in the series finale. I tell you, that's a pretty impressive lineup of young pitchers. Veteran presence of Jackson sprinkled in, and of course their last starter in that rotation, the Reds will miss all the way back from Tommy John surgery, Steven Strasburg. Bruce has half of the Reds' hits in the game. A double to right and a single to right in 3 trips to the plate. And this will be the second out in the 9th inning. Reds are down to their final out. Heisey is bounced to third, fly to center, and popped up to the second baseman. 2 runs the Reds have scored in the first 2 games of this series against their division rivals. And 2 on Heisey, and that'll do it. Yadier Molina, the throw down to Descalso, and the Reds 3 hits last night at 4 tonight. And they have lost the first 2 games in this 3-game series to the Cardinals. 3-1 our final score. Loesch the winner, Leak the loser, Buck the save. We're back in a moment.
Welcome to Reds Live, presented by King's Honda. Here is your host, Jim Day.
After taking 2 out of 3 from Miami in the opening series, the Reds bats have gone silent. Second straight night in a row, the Cardinals with the high fives. 3-1 your final. You just saw it on Fox Sports Ohio. Hi again, everyone. Jim Day with you. We're on the main concourse, left field line. Next homestand, hope you come out and join us, and the Reds will look to salvage something out of this 3-game set tomorrow. They have their ace, Johnny Cueto, going to the hill. But let's talk about this one. One of those nights where, well, starting pitching, it's a so-called quality start from Mike Leake. He goes 6 innings, gives up only 3 runs, but no run support, or at least not enough. Let's talk more about it. Guys just called the game, Tom Brittiman and Chris Welsh. On the other side, we've said it 1,000 times, but man, has Kyle Loesch turned around his career in a Cardinal uniform.
It's really amazing, and he's getting older, and you could certainly make the case he's getting better. Last year was the best season of his major league career, a 14-game winner, ERA under 3.5, and there are a lot of guys that obviously have better resumes, but at least through the first week, almost a week of this baseball season, he's the best pitcher in the game.
Well, there are a lot of guys that have better fastballs, too, than Kyle Loesch. You know, it used to be when he was a member of the Reds, you could tell if Kyle Loesch was up around 92, 93 with his fastball, he was going to have a really good game. Tonight, he's throwing 88, 89 miles an hour, but he's spotting it, and he's got some movement, and he's moving it in and out. He worked great with Yadier Molina, had a nice changeup overall for Loesch. 6 innings of 1-run baseball. The Reds really didn't even mount a threat. They only had 4 hits overall. He walked 1. He did not walk a batter in his last outing, so he's all over the strike zone, and the Reds right now just unable to find any rhythm at the plate.
You know, meanwhile, on the other side, Chris, you and I were visiting in spring training, and you made the comment before the game here tonight about how Mike Leake really flew under the radar. And I think you and I both agree, and tell me if you do with this statement. I'm not so sure if you were to give me a pick, and all things being equal, everybody stays healthy. You start there. I'm not so sure that over the next 5 years, if I had to pick one Reds pitcher that I think will win the most games for this team, win the most games, I'm not so sure it's not going to be Mike Leake.
Well, that's pretty impressive thought right there, because you got to figure that eventually Aroldis Chapman may be in the rotation. And, of course, you have Johnny Cueto, the opening day starter. You need him to pitch well tomorrow, by the way, Cueto. But you're right about Mike Leake. It seems like he just goes out and does it in a very workmanlike fashion that you don't even know it. All of a sudden, you're up in the 6th inning. And he started off a little bit rough tonight. You know, he had a tough first inning out there. But sometimes starting pitchers have that. They come out of the bullpen with a certain set of tools, and they get to the mound, it's a little bit different. And for Mike Leake, it started a little bit on the rough side. You see the home run that he gave up to Carlos Beltran in the first. Then they had the bases loaded. And oh my goodness, not a repeat of last night, but he was able to get out of it. A marvelous play eventually by Scott Rowland got him out of that. But he did give up a home run later on in the ball game to David Freese. But David Freese is just on fire right now. That was the 2nd and 3rd runs of the game, and it really put the Cardinals up by 2, and the Reds couldn't get anything going. I'll take an outing like that by Mike Leake anytime. 6 innings, 3 runs. A lot of times you're going to get a win out of that.
All right, my man. Well, enjoy the golf day tomorrow. You're traveling with a team to the nation's capital for the game that we'll have, the entire road trip, in fact, we'll have for you on Fox Sports Ohio beginning Thursday. No radio or no TV tomorrow, radio only tomorrow. 12:35 first pitch. Tickets are available. Johnny Cueto v. Jaime Garcia. Should be a good one, Jim Day.
Yes, it should be, and we're off on the first road trip of the season, a 3-city trip.
Yes.
So, going to be a big one for the Reds. All right, boys, thank you very much for the insight. We appreciate it. As always, we'll step aside for a break. When we come back, full list of highlights. We'll show you the entire game, how this unfolded. Mike Matheny gets it done again, the pride of Reynoldsburg, Ohio. Back with more after this.